Hello everyone, welcome to week 29 of the Gran Turismo weekly race guide. It's the week of 5s this week. I'm on my PS5 and each race is 5 laps, which is interesting. It would have been really nice if race A was the MX-5 to really shoot the whole 5s of everything basically. Even so, you can see we're in the Honda S2000 in the background, but at which Tokyo circuit? It's the Central Outer Loop. Let's have a look at the race details then. We're racing 5 laps here at the Central Outer Loop. It's a grid start and we are on sports hard tyres. As I say, S2000 is the car of choice, and its first race is also going to demonstrate why wired connection is better than wireless connection. Let's jump to race then and let's have a look exactly what happened. Here we are then at the start. Flash of lights, I always say this, flash away. Only 10 people made it in. It took over 3 minutes for this lobby to form, or it felt like that anyway. It certainly said 42 when I looked at the clock. Then I went on Discord and asked if everyone was having the same problem, but we made it in eventually. One thing to note, you do not need traction control to start, so don't worry about it. Foot to the floor, off you go. So, for those that don't know, the PlayStation 5, for reasons unknown to science, defaults to the Wi-Fi connection rather than the wired connection. I didn't know this until I was in this race and I start seeing a few laggy cars in front of me, and I thought it was just a lobby, to be honest with you, until I asked afterwards. I wasn't even lagging to other people, so it is just ping loss, packet loss, sorry. And yeah, just I'm amazed I had 4 bars, let's put it that way. And it did put me off a little bit in this race because the PlayStation is miles away from the router. My Elgato Lite struggles sometimes, so it's amazing I was 4 bars. But even so, we're going to have a race all the same. And let's see what happens during this race. Very hard to overtake here. You can see lots of action up ahead as one of the Spaniards decides to just wall ride his way around the right-hander. But you can see the movement of cars, so it's very off-putting, and I knew I had to be very careful throughout this race as Verdu actually gets a penalty. Was that for wall riding? That's interesting. But we continue on through here. You can see the cars very sliding. Brake balance in this, I was on -1. Obviously, it's your own personal preference, but it's to try and avoid the slip. But you see there, JT tries to go down the inside. It all sort of tightens up, and then suddenly an S2000 ends up right in front of me there. Couldn't really do much. And I'm pretty sure I may have been the cause of that. I'm not really sure, as in like the spin. Obviously, the contact wasn't my fault because they were just racing. But we carry on all the same, and we're in P8 now. And we can look how the car rotates through here. It is nice to drive, to be fair. I'm just not a fan of the circuit. So you can see 2 slowdowns up ahead. So we go to the left here. And Adrian here. Nearly puts me into the back. I was scared there, trust me. I was very scared. But I back out of this. I was a bit concerned that lag would happen there. Tried to go for a cutback. Doesn't quite work out here. So we're going to have to sit behind once again. Going up this hill. I knew JT was behind me as well. So I was just being cautious here because he can catch up to me. And then it'd end up in a 3-way fight. I look, but I'm not going to go for this. Just falling behind for now. And we're going to have a look at the next corner potentially then. So we have a little sneaky look, but not quite going to work out. I did notice they went deep, and then that happened again, that little jig of the cars. If you ever wonder why Wi-Fi is just rubbish, that is the reason. You just get packet losses occasionally, and that's what happens. The cars move quite bad. And we're going to look on the inside here, not quite far enough alongside, so I'll back out of that completely. But that's why you should always get a wired connection. Get network extenders that you can plug in. That's what I use in the cabin, and literally it turns into a nice lovely connection. You'll see that later on in the other 2 races because I was trying to figure it out for a little while. And we've got a good run here on the Spaniard, so let's see what we can do this time. I'm really just showing you this racing to show you that it's very hard to overtake here irrespective of the connection. So we break a little bit early here to defend the inside beautifully, and we're going to look for the cutback. Doesn't quite work out. Really didn't carry enough speed there to make anything happen as we continue on down to this sharp right-hander. Again, I'm looking down the inside. Not got the overrun enough there, in my opinion, so I do back out of it once again. And they just get a bit too much oversteer. And again, I'm looking. And yeah, I just have to back out of that. Not really there at that moment. So climb the hill, fast forward, and into here we go. And I did notice they did break a little bit late here. So I was like, excellent, I can make this opportunity work out nicely. Get on the inside as best as I can for this right-hander. Very hard right-hander to do as well. I stayed on the inside. Luckily, the lag didn't have any impact there. I did ask JT. I asked him Discord, and JT was there now, and he said that literally I wasn't lagging, so it's a bit weird one. But we are going to go into a lap guide now because it is the lap 5, the first of the lap 5s. And heading towards turn 1 here, it's very hard to see, but basically you got this white marker and then you got the fence changing in the distance. Very hard to see in terms of highlighting it, but there you see it there. That's where you want to brake, and you want to be just under 100 miles an hour. Now, I did it at 95 miles an hour there. Now, this fast right-hander, you turn, but keep your foot to the floor, flat out. Just turn once, head towards that corner. You will understeer initially, but don't panic. The car will come back to you. Look at that understeer, and it comes back beautifully. And VTEC kicked in, yo. So as we change gear. So, yes, the first corner, just roll the car through the corner. And it's the same for this corner coming up as well. It's the same technique. So, as we head up the hill, before the crest of the hill, and that's my marker, braking before the crest of the hill, you're going to brake and drop to 4th gear. Now, the car will want to rotate, which is why I'm on -1 to try and reduce it a little bit. Notice how it rotates a little bit there. And I'm just balancing the car with the throttle. When I'm happy, I can make the corner, I accelerate. And I was doing 108 miles an hour there, if you want a reference. I reckon you do 110, 111 potentially there. Now, this corner, very difficult, okay? The references are very hard to get. So you've got this changing barrier marker, and it's after this, by the way. And then you've got the yellow signs on the left-hand side, so you can just see that in the distance there as well. I haven't marked it because it's really difficult, but use that as your marker. And this corner, you really want to overslow the car a little bit to make sure you don't hit the barrier. And then use these highway markers. We use them a lot, but brake just before these and try and carry around 90 miles an hour speed. Now, I actually carry a little bit more than normal here, so I got to 93, but I nearly understeer there, and I think a lot of people will understeer into that if you try and carry that much speed. Getting down to about 90 miles an hour is probably going to help you out a lot. This is all flat, of course, as we head into the tunnel. And, of course, very easy marker for this second last corner, sorry, is the end of the tunnel. Now, I've highlighted where the light changes there. I'm braking before that. You can see that here. And my goal at the end of it would be to try and get as close to that as possible. Obviously, it's the first time I'm racing this, so I'm a little bit further away. But you can see how that works. And I got the braking slightly wrong. But you can get closer to that light. Heading towards the last corner then, use that barrier change on the left-hand side. You're going to want to drop to 3rd gear here. Now, as you drop to 3rd gear, let the car just roll through the corner. Notice how I'm letting it roll a little bit here. I don't see that yellow sign. I then accelerate. And normally you can make the corner there. Normally you can make it. I really should have stopped the footage there to show you that yellow marker. But it is there. You will see it's very obvious. And that's going to be it for race A. Very hard to overtake. There will be a lot of carnage here. We saw that even in this race. One to maybe have a quick go at, but I wouldn't expect clean racing at all on this one. Let's head to race B. Welcome to Interlagos then for one of the most common combos that we have in Gran Turismo. And the reason for that is this is the track where balance of performance was done. I don't know if it's still done here now for Group 3s. I don't know if Group 4s were tested here. I know Group 3 was tested here in terms of setting the balance of performance, which is why the combo, I imagine, is always around Group 3 and Interlagos. Let's have a look at the race details then. Well, what do you know? We're racing 5 laps here at Interlagos. It's a rolling start, but again, it's stupidly long start, finish straight, and we're on the racing medium tyres. This week, the Peugeot was top, so I decided to take my good old friend, the Bay, the Pug RCZ Group 3, for a spin around Interlagos. Let's jump to the race then, and let's have a look at exactly what happened. Here we are then at the start. Hey, look, an Alfa Romeo! Max range in that one. I lost Peugeots. Got Audi in there. Got Toyotas. Got a Nissan. Got Consta in the Z4. And the Estonian in the Hyundai. So, interesting selection of cars. Weirdly, we started P4. I did 1 lap because I was trying to get the internet sorted. And fortunately, it's sorted now. We've got 5 bars on the left-hand side. So, we are the true rapper of them all. We're now going to start with a race lap guide initially, like we normally do on race B, mainly because we can do a better one later on. So yeah, starting P4, we've got a chance of victory here, which is unusual for us, to be honest with you, but hey, we'll try our best, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to advance a bit further on now, because not much happens on that first lap, and we see Jewel in front of us, the Dutchman. And what are they going to do? We're catching them in the slipstream. So they go right, so we go left. And we are going to go into a lap guide this time. And look for that red canopy on the left-hand side. The second one, you see the first one, it's right next to the bars. But the second one, that's the one you're looking for. I'm on the inside, so I can really show you. I use that all the time. It may look not obvious, but when you start looking for it, you'll notice it. And then in your peripheral vision thereafter, you will constantly notice it. Now, for this, for the Senna S, by the way, on the right, you will need to lift a little bit in the Peugeot. Other cars may vary. So we're going to head towards turn 2 then, technically, or not technically. And you're looking for that piece of tarmac there. So the barrier ends, and then that tarmac happens. And you want to brake as close to that as possible. It's a really good brake marker. And to get it stopped, you want to use a lot of curb on the inside. You notice how it just turned me around a little bit there. Gave me a little bit of rotation. And we continue on up the hill now. So on the left-hand side, we have 150, 100. And we have the 50-meter board. Brake just before that. And it's a double apex corner. And essentially, you want to go to third gear in the Peugeot. But critically, we go through here, drop to third gear. And we want to start accelerating before the end of that dark green stuff on the right-hand side. The braking zone here. The tyre mark is back. We always use the tyre mark. It's a brilliant marker. As it intercepts the green and white curbing, basically that's where you're going to want to brake. And you want to cut a lot of this inside. We don't cut as much as we could do there. And this left-hander is all about just letting the car roll through the corner. I can't speak. I don't know why I did that. But we continue on towards this right-hander. And the dark green stuff on the left-hand side, you're going to brake somewhere where that exists. I unfortunately brake a little bit late here. Go a little bit deep. I'm still wondering why I said corner. But hey, there we go. You get a bit of entertainment as well. So through here, we go into this left. You're going to lift a little bit here. Notice how I have to lift. You could short shift as well. And the last corner on the right side, it's a bit blurred because it's action, of course. But basically, you have a dead piece of grass. And it goes green, which I've highlighted. Then the dark piece. As it goes dark or dead again, that's where you brake. It's the one I highlight all the time. I do have an Interlagos guide here as well. It's from ages and ages ago. You can spot it in that one as well. So we're in P3. And we're going to catch up to P2 and P1. So the fight is really on with a few laps remaining here. Max Range in the Alfa Romeo and Alex in the Pug. So got some good racing coming up here. So Max Range looking to attack and defend at the same time. So I'm thinking, okay, what can we do here? So I know Max Range has gone tight here. So I'm looking for some form of cutback if possible. And try and get the move done. Not going to quite work here. We're going to be on the outside potentially of Max Range. But we can't really get much done here. So again, looking for some form of cutback. Not going to happen. Max Range defends beautifully here. So we go in towards the left-hander. Slight lift again, as I say. As also short shift. And last corner, use that dead circle piece of grass. Second gear, through we go. Now the question is the Alfa faster or slower than the Peugeot RCZ? We do have the fastest Group 3 spreadsheet, if you really want to know the answer to that question. However, on video, if you want to check it out, by the way. However, we can see here that it's actually dead even, to be honest. And the Alfa looking for a move then on Alex. Max Range has to go on the outside here. I'm thinking, can I make any moves here? So I'm thinking again, once again, a cutback, a large cutback here. Not here, but I want to do it on this corner here because I know Max Range will have a very hurried time through that left-hander. And we do. Look at this. We get alongside. So I was hoping Alex would come across to the left a little bit. And he does. So thank you for the slipstream, Alex. But it's good of him to do that in terms of it means that we continue to fight. But Max Range does back out of it a little bit there. And we do get that position. But in terms of Alex doing that, it basically, it means we lose time and he gains time. And that's why you would do that. Here we are catching up to Alex, who goes a little bit deep here. So I'm like, oh, excellent. Here we go. So I stay on the outside initially. I was expecting Alex to jump to the left-hand side. He doesn't. But I don't know if he did that just to be cautious or not. I'm not too sure. But we get the lead of the race. How often do we say that in these weekly race guides, folks? Not very is the answer to that question. And that's cutting it a little bit more than we did last time. And that shows you how it's done. Again, rolling the car through the corner. There's a slight tap of the brakes. Nothing major there. I don't want the car to shift weight. Going downhill and turning. Bit carnagey if you do that. But look at this. Lap 5. And we actually get the win. Fantastic! How about that, folks? Happy days indeed. And Z4, not cursed, comes in P8. That's going to be it for race B. We're going to head to race C, where you're going to need some ear coverings, potentially, due to the car. So, what are we doing? Well, it's Le Mans, as you can see in the background. We do have chicanes in there, fortunately. We're not fully deaf for the entirety of the straight. However, we are in the X 2019, which is very loud and screams very high-pitched. And it can get quite annoying, to be honest with you. But let's have a look at the race details. Oh, what do you know? It's 5 laps. It's a rolling start, which is quite deadly in terms of Le Mans. Racing medium tyres, so there's no strategy involved. Fuel usage ×1. And, oh, what do you know? It's another ×5. We've got a lot of 5s today, as I've said, throughout this one. So As I say, no real strategy in this one. It's all out racing, and slipstream is huge in this, I've got to be honest, and it does make the racing a little bit boring. So weirdly, this one, or the race C, is going to be quite short in the grand scheme of it. Let's jump to the race then. I'll talk you through a lap guide and find out exactly what happens. Here we are then at the start. You can hear the screaming already in the background. Make sure you do that. Plant your foot, burn as much fuel as you can, which is not going to be very much, to be honest with you. And you can see we're starting P18. So let's have a look exactly what happens at the start then. Now, my first tip of the day for you is to turn traction control onto 1. Why? Because we're starting before the chicane. We have 4 corners before we start the race. However, traction control 1 will help you through this first part because this car is very oversteer. It's got way too much power for the amount of grip it's got. So through here, and off we go there. And look how safe we were there. Nice and easy. And we're actually in the slipstream of Podma in front, and we can actually look for the move as well because they're out the slipstream of the car ahead. So down the inside, heading towards turn 1 then, already getting the move done and dusted here. Some side-by-side action. They go a little bit deep here, but obviously it's just trying to race clean as best as we can. I leave space on the outside. Max range looking to try and take some opportunity from this as well. And max range, max power. Sorry, I'm getting people mixed up. Need to rename yourselves, folks. Through we go. A little bit of oversteer. And we continue on into Tetra Rouge, which is flat. Well, I don't do it flat this time. And yeah, it is flat, as you will see in the lap guide. We do have one coming up shortly. So I do this in 4th gear. So it's much safer to do it in 4th gear. That's all I can say. But through here, and we see the Gr.X, unfortunately, has ended up meeting barrier R. A bit further on, heading towards Indianapolis now. And we can see, what's that? 2, 3 cars wide up ahead. Everybody wanting that P13 position. And in towards Indianapolis we go. And just brake in a minute. It gets straight. And lovely line. Oh, look, somebody span. Who is it this time? In fact, it's one of the bigger or faster drivers in here. It's Poloff, unfortunately, spinning. So you see a lot of action coming up then. And by the way, Indianapolis is very dangerous. I span there and I just had a quick practice. Epic Toby taking a penalty. So we're about to take P15 from Epic Toby here. Well, I'm going to have a good race with Epic Toby later on. Heading towards the Porsche Curse then. I disagree with this move entirely because Poloff just basically pushes him off. In fact, I think that's quite bad if I'm honest with you. Yeah, it's not on in my opinion, but there we have it. Even so, because he nearly didn't make the corner anyway. Through we go, and max power about to boost me past max range. And yes, we managed to get a few more positions there with all that action and carnage happening. But that's one of those where I know Womble did something on respectful driving. That definitely wasn't respectful driving. That was purely launch it down the inside. I'm having that corner. And while it is a racing game, I do disagree with that particular move. But you see Epic Toby going to slipstream past me here. Heading towards Indianapolis. And I'm going to settle in behind for now. We start to catch again, but I don't want to go for the move here. I don't want to lose as much time. Basically, I want to try and get in fights if I can. So I want to work together here. So through we go. So we get a little bit of oversteer there. Heading towards Arnage then. And leaving this corner, it's very sketchy as well. You want to get straight before you put your foot to the floor because what happened to Epic Toby is exactly what will happen if you don't do that. We've got to lap 4 where we've caught up to the finish driver. We are advancing quite quickly through this race because there's not much that happens unless you're in a slipstream or you're catching somebody. But if you have a slower driver who's in a slipstream, they will stay ahead of you for quite some time due to that. Now you see the finish driver, a little bit of oversteer on exit. Again, you've got to really be straight here. We're going to go around the outside in towards this left-hander then. And unfortunately, we put our foot to the floor and the rear of the car says, no, you can't do that, Tidge. What are you on about? We come onto the track safely here. And Epic Toby goes by and you're going to see me here. Look, dirt on the tyres and we get a whole load of oversteer once again. So you do have to be careful of this car. It does bite and the rear tyres do get worn quite quickly. So I was on -3 in the end in terms of brake balance. Turn 1 then. The first total sign on the right-hand side is where you want to brake. If the bottom one gets wiped out, you've got the one on the barrier as well. But I'm using the bottom one, so that's why I've marked it. And you want to stay in 3rd gear, really. I find 2nd gear, I don't know, it's a little bit weird to me. I just stay in 3rd. I find it easier. So it's up to you, really, on that front. On the right-hand side, then, you have that orange barrier, tyre wall, whatever it is, on the right-hand side. You use that to your advantage. The minute you get to that, hit the brakes. You can see I'm about to hit the brakes here. 4th gear for this corner, although I get a little bit of oversteer just due to the wear on the tyres, so do be careful of that. When you've got fresh tyres, it's fine. Now, Tetra Rouge is flat out. I said that early on. So the minute you get that blue bit, hit the edge of your screen, turn in, you should make the corner absolutely fine and not worry. You can cut the inside quite a bit as well. Look at that. Nice and easy. So just fast forward towards the chicane then. 100-meter board for the chicane. You can actually do it just after. Now, I've got worn tyres here, and I do outbrake myself a little bit. However, 100-meter board, bang on it, because I brake a little bit after, is where you want to brake for that corner, and you will make it safe and sound. So we carry on out of there. Be careful of oversteer once again, because the car will kick out. Heading towards the left-hander. Oh, the chicane, which is first left-hander. Again, it's just after the 100-meter board this time. It's not quite as sharp as the first one. So just after the 100-meter board. And 4th gear this one. Do not do 3rd gear. 4th gear, clip the inside. Be careful on exit. Make sure your car is straight before you accelerate, and you should be fine. Head towards... I can't remember the name of this corner now. Mulsanne corner. It's that where the curb is sticks out the most. That's where you want to start braking. So as you hit the level with that corner, drop to 2nd gear. At the inside again. Wait. Make sure you're straight and then foot to the floor. It's the safest way to drive this car. Make sure you're straight. The Indianapolis through the right-hander, and as we get straight is the minute we go on the brakes. You'll notice we're before the cones here as well. It's the minute the car gets straight is when you want to brake. Said it twice because that's what I mean. It's serious. It's serious, as Daniel from Asheville would say. So heading towards this right-hander then. On the right-hand side, we have the trees. The last tree, which I've highlighted right there, is your brake marker. And you're going to drop to 2nd gear. Do not go to 1st gear because once again, you'll have a whole load of oversteer. So once again, straighten up and then foot to the floor and off you go. Push curves is flat. You want to do one motion though. That's the critical thing. One motion. And through here is flat and flat again. And this is where you start to lift here. Lift. And as this gets straight, you can just see how it straightens up there. Drop to 6th gear and then instantly turn left at the same time. Do both at the same time and you will make the corner fine and carry a lot of speed. As I'm bouncing the car there, the finish driver gets it all sorts of wrong there. As we head to the chicanes on this final lap. So as we head there, we are actually looking for that pit entrance there where the white line becomes solid. I broke a little bit early here because the finish driver was ahead of me and I couldn't quite see it, but that's what you're actually wanting to use. Now, 4th gear initially. As you do the first two, then drop to 3rd gear. As you hit that curb, you want to turn in, and 2nd gear through there, straighten up, and off you go. Luckily, the finish driver span just went a little bit too deep. Very easy to do. You don't want to be aggressive on those chicanes. Just make sure the car stays balanced. So this week, not a good week in my opinion. It really isn't, especially with no FIA. We really could have done with a very nice race C here. It is still unique, so they are putting new combos out there, which is kind of nice, but even so, could have been a little bit better. But that's going to be it for me this week. As always, if you did like it, make sure you hit that thumbs up. It helps me out massively and costs you absolutely nothing in terms of money. Subscribe if you want to stay in touch in terms of content. There is a live stream there of Ollie's if you want to check that out. That's happening right now. Or a video there if you want to check that out in terms of the fastest Group 3 car. That's it from me though, folks. Au revoir, farewell, and have a good week.